Welcome, everybody, to the Force Pro Sports ZAP Report. My codename is Mr. Mischief, and today is day 2 of Laserforce Internationals 2025. Let's get into it. Not sure how long this will take today. I was not able to watch most of the stream yesterday. Actually, I wasn't able to watch basically any of it. Had other stuff going on. Had to sleep. So I'm going to physically watch most of the games today when I can, but most of this is just reviewing stats and scrolling through a few games where needed. So I'm missing some context, just to be clear. But I meant to do this as a way for me to stay involved, despite the fact that I'm not taking the week off, working a full-time job, got other obligations, playing some pickleball. Honestly, I don't regret that. Pickleball, pretty great. Let's go over the team rankings. Let's just start with the review. So I'm going to share my screen with you here. Here we go. All right. Brisboom remains undefeated with a 2.43 score ratio, 16 eliminations. BDRL comes in at a close second with 36 points. They've won 6 matches, and they're in the middle of one more. They've only lost a match to Brisbane so far. International Men of Mystery are right behind them with 34 points. Though they're not on paper as successful, we notice BDRL has 8 eliminations to 1 from Men of Mystery. They have a 1.44 score ratio compared to the 1.09 from Men of Mystery, but Men of Mystery firmly in 3rd place right now. All-American Supercharged down at 26 points. 9 games won, 7 lost, 2 eliminations, 1.06 score ratio. This is where these stats get more interesting after a bigger sample size. We're able to see a lot more of what's the truth behind these teams. It's less speculation and more, analyzing data that's firm that we have. The US East has about the same score ratio as the US West, but they've won 2 less games and won 2 less matches. And that is pretty much the matches that were against each other that's separating them. Auckland A up at 18 points in 5th place. They have a 0.86 score ratio, but they're up there above Laserforce Crew in 6th place with 14 points. They have a higher score ratio than Auckland, 0.92. Loveland Curveballs down at 8 points. They have won 3 games, lost 12. And their score ratio is up at 0.74. Olympus, unfortunately, still at 0 points, lost 15 games, and their score ratio is a pretty abysmal 0.36. They restored the top players. Thank you for that. We're going to assess some of these numbers real quick. We'll just go over the top 10 MVPs of the tournament. Taipan, Rusty, way leading the charge with 31 and 27 average MVP. Glader, Sharpshooter, Basil all coming in as like a 3-pack around that 23-22 range. Simply Okay at number 6, my boy. Screever, 20.74. They are tied for that 6th place spot, actually. JFK, 19.7. Rook, 19.17. And Brew, 18.7. Looking at the top commanders, I'm actually going to sort this by... which I don't know if the stream was they were doing this on day 1. It was just showing you the top scores, even if you only had 1 game. I'm going to set this, let's say half. Let's say, let's go 7. Minimum game, 7. Top commanders, Basil with 22 average MVP. Simply Okay, 20.7. Twin, 16.43. Sexy Meow at 15.19. And Morange, 13.3. Down at heavy weapons, we've got Glader leading the pack with a strong 24.8. Screever with 20.3. Brew, 19.79. Fear Turkey, 17.94. And Troy Yoda down at 14.75. Scouts this tournament. We will read out the top 10 here. JFK is in the lead with Sharpshooter, both at 19 and some change. Beans and 3rd with 17.14. Prawn Boy, 17. Rook, 16.16. Scraps, 15.99. Cody at 15. Sergeant Tucker at 14.3. Tomik at 13.3. And Jeff Pex at 13.25. Laserforce Crew getting a few of their names in there. Ammo carrier for the tournament by over a 10-point lead is Rusty at 28 average, followed by Fireball DK 17, Archdruid 15.8, Lone Soul 14.3, and Adapatosaurus at 13.4, with Azra almost tied with him at 13.3. I can't not mention Azra. Finally, with medics, Taipan 33, which is 15 points higher than the second highest, Donta at 18, Old Man Than at 16.7, Lucidune at 15.9, and Guy Next Door at 14. We are starting to figure out the pecking order a little bit in this tournament. And finally, we can go to medic hits. Simply Okay is leading the pack by a 77 total medic hits, followed by Basil at 62 with a 4.8 average medic hits. And then we got Twin at 56, Rusty 51. He's playing mostly ammo, so that's very interesting. And then Rook at 50. All right, that's kind of our general overview. Let's get to the game highlight for the day. So we are going to look at the BDRL versus All-American Supercharged game, where All-American Supercharged won in some of the most interesting fashions possible. So this team was on their final 30-ish lives here, 35 lives, and their medic and ammo are out. Meanwhile, Donta has not been hit once the entire game. Not a single tagged medic hit by the All-American team in this entire game. Screever putting up a monstrous 9.2k heavy game. Twin not having the best showing, but potentially eating up a lot of the attention. A lot of focus went on to Twin here. 15 to 28 by Scythe, so that's a very successful hit ratio by Scythe there. Scythe having a really strong performance, and Brew as well. And the Scouts, no joke. Everyone on the All-American pulling their weight. But this game was actually lost on a penalty. I'm not sure what the penalty was, but it was a penalty that stuck and put All-American Supercharged over the edge. And that's exactly how Loveland beat Syracuse in East Coast 2017. So I'm glad that Beans, some of that karma is kind of coming back your direction now. That it happened to you, now it's happening for you. Man, no one knows what I'm talking about. Just wanted to highlight this because, you know, there's so many question marks around All-American Supercharged right now. And this was a well-played game by them. But I would say BDRL had the stronger performance. The fact that their medic didn't get hit at all, Prawn Boy with nearly a 2 hit diff. Twin needed to find a different strategy. Whatever was going on, he was getting shut down completely in this game. We're gonna watch a highlight from it though. To commend Twin, actually, the highlight I found was actually a really good push by him and his team. So, or actually, it may have been Screever. Him and Screever have been definitely synergizing well in this tournament. So let's go ahead and check out this little clip here. So you can see the All-American team resupplying up in New Tower, which I believe I've been saying that wrong. It's New Tower. We're going to see Screever coming in, tagging down Brew, Do Not Pass Go, Cody. Twin starts a nuke right here in the blue. Screever sitting in the middle of their resupply. The entire team funnels down. And one extra thing I like is you see Rook expertly positioning himself right there at the bottom of the ramp, tagging almost all of them, actually all of them. He tags all of them as they go through. So this is about as perfect of an example of kind of the heavy nuke wombo combo that you can ask for. Well done by the BDRL. I think that was a great one to highlight, and if you are at home watching or you are a team that's not employing that tactic, you can learn it best from the BDRL. Democracy, may it reign forever. All right, let's go to the player highlight. I'm actually going to... so this game was meant to highlight the narrow win by All-American and the way that they were working together to shut down Twin. That was great by them. We're going to highlight the BDRL. The player highlight that we're going to talk about is Donta. I would love to highlight Donta from this game. Not just in this game, in this tournament. See, Donta has been an unsung absolute baller and hero on the BDRL. Coming in, and partially why I have not ranked BDRL super high, despite them being kind of the firm second place team by a lot of metrics right now. Well, I was kind of worried that they were going to be sort of a stereotype of a team, a team of what I'd call shooty boys, people that just, they don't necessarily understand the strategy of the game that deeply. They just love to be aggressive and attack, attack, attack. But I gotta say, Archdruid and Donta have been solidly playing resupply for this team and doing an excellent job. You see a great hit diff on Archdruid frequently, but I especially want to highlight Donta because I think he gets overlooked. I've noticed game after game after game that Donta has remained almost untouched for a lot of these games. When I'm watching teams play the BDRL, I rarely see anybody even like circling the outside of their base or breaking in. And a part of that is thanks to the team structure, and part of that is thanks to Donta's, I think, smart and cautious play. So I went and I looked through specifically number of times tagged by Donta. And Donta is number one in the tournament in terms of fewest times shot on average per game, including games against Brisboom. Second place would be Taipan, getting shot 6.5 times on average. Lucidune, 7.5 in third. Then we have a big jump outside the Brisbane medics. Thanatos with 11 tags average per game. And then Guy Next Door getting tagged an average of 11.18 times per game. Donta only gets tagged 5.8 times per game on average. And if we remove the Brisboom games, I'm pretty sure that goes to below 5. So if you're on the BDRL, you should like all lift Donta up into the air and take him to get some lunch and treat him, because he is doing your team a lot of good. A good team needs a balance of players of all different types. And I was worried that your team was going to lack a player like Donta to sort of balance the team out and be that smart medic. Okay, team highlight. Before I can show you the team highlight, I need to stop sharing my screen. Need to get real close to the camera. Need to have an intimate moment. All right. If you're just listening, I invite you to pull up your camera right here. I'm sorry, Auckland. I was wrong. Please take me back. I overreacted a little bit, I think, to the day one performance by Auckland, because I think they're back. And understandably so. I mean, part of why I'm doing the rankings the way I'm doing them right now is you got to remember that the only real ranking that matters is your finals elimination bracket ranking. All these teams are going to come in, and in general, home field teams are going to start out at their best on day one, and they're going to get better, but usually they don't get better at the rate that outside teams get when they're coming in with, they don't even know the arena that well. A lot of people, this is their first time in the arena. And especially the Auckland guys, a lot of them didn't really get to play until, at least Guy Next Door and Morange, two very key players, didn't get to really play until the final practice night. But there's a few things I like about this team. One, they found a lineup and they've stayed consistent with it. Two, they are, I think, playing the positions in a way that's really efficient and working for the arena. I could highlight a few players. Like, I think Leech, I've never seen him play a defensive role the way he's doing. And I see the way that he coordinates with Lone Soul and Guy Next Door. They seem like a really tight trio. Morange has been enabled by Know-It-All and Essence, who are getting consistently really high hit diffs. And so I applaud Know-It-All because I know he's the kind of player who loves to charge in and attack. But I think he's showing a lot of restraint in his willingness to play more of a hit diff, punish people for paying attention to Morange kind of scout. And Essence being so new, I'm very impressed with him as well, because they are both pretty even in terms of their output on the field. And we're going to show a few Auckland highlights just to show, hey, maybe they didn't have the best day one. Also remember, let me be honest with you. Remember that they started playing Brisboom, then they played BDRL as their first matches of the tournament. So they did not get much time to really start figuring things out without playing like the two most aggressive teams. And second, for me, you got to recognize, like, I have to recognize my bias here, because if I'm honest with you all, I was looking over the games yesterday for who do I want to highlight? What do I want to do? I saw the Loveland beat US East, and I freaked out with excitement because I'm from Loveland. I know all these people much more personally. And the people in Auckland are just as valuable of human beings. They have their own awesome stories. They're all really cool in their own right. I just don't know them more. So my human brain decides, oh man, I'm not going to cheer for them as much as I will for Loveland. And when I saw that they nearly took a game off of US East yesterday, my mind just kind of went, whatever. And the fact that they beat Laserforce Crew twice, my brain just went, whatever. I have a funny story real quick. When I was in high school, I went to Comic-Con in Denver, and I went to this booth where they were debating who's the best superhero. They made like a tournament bracket, and the audience would debate, and they would, like the Incredible Hulk versus Iron Man, who's better, who'd win in a fight. People would make their arguments. And for some stupid reason, they put Superman in the bracket. And so I sat there knowing, why'd they do that? Superman's just going to win. Everyone knows it. And we got to a part where Superman was going versus Spider-Man. And I remember that when we started debating this, pretty much like the audience was kind of like quiet because everyone knew Superman was better. But then this one kid, he's like 6 years old. He like stands up and he's like trying to say, no, Spider-Man would win because he'll use his webs to shoot Superman down and trap him. And like the audience was like awing over him. Like we thought it was really cute. But this kid loved Spider-Man so much that he actually decided to just, ignore logic and find a story in his head that would say, Spider-Man's going to win. I'm not saying that this is that drastic. I definitely don't think that Auckland A is officially like heads and tails above Laserforce Crew or Loveland Curveballs. I just got excited and I had a very biased opinion yesterday. So anyway, I'm sorry, Auckland. I was wrong. I hope that gives you all a boost of confidence, and you can take that Mischief was wrong about us and just kind of use it, rub it in my face, spread it all around. You have my admission. Let's look at a few games. So Auckland A versus the Curveballs, the game that I said I bet the Curveballs will win one of the games. They did not. Auckland pretty well gave them a right stomping, 41,000 to 34. So it was not. It seemed like more of a drag out game. They definitely were ahead on lives. Auckland over Loveland. We saw a couple impressive heavy games out of Waffle Raptor. He was getting a lot of medic hits. But at the end of the day, like we see Lone Soul really popping off here. 6.2 ammo game, 20 shots into Sabo, 12-2 against Lizzie Lizard. He was vital because Lizzie, in the game before this, had nearly a 9K scout game if she had gotten her bases. She was popping off. So Lone Soul went out of his way to shut that down. And I think some of that's the main one. This was really a team effort. No one's the incredible standout in this game. Like Morange did nearly get 12K. So really it was kind of a Morange game. They kind of let him pop off there. And he's finding his stride for sure because he's been struggling a bit on hit diff before this. Against the International Men of Mystery, now I do think this game shows maybe a bit of a ceiling outcome for Auckland at the moment. But you got to hand it once again. Lone Soul 6K ammo game, 17-5 on Simply OK, and mostly positive hit diffs everywhere else. Really nice. I really like this game from Know It All, 1.4 with 7 medic hits and a 19-2 on the Fear Turkey. 22-13 on Simply OK. Out of this world. The only one who was able to do anything to him was Fireball DK. Well done, Know It All. Making my fantasy team look really good right now. And it looked like Leech was definitely struggling in this game, but on the whole, like I am noticing that in this arena, The 3 hits are getting pooped on. Like, most 3 hits have really bad hit diffs while the scouts are thriving. Saving grace in this game was Sergeant Tucker with almost a 9K scout game, 26-6 on Leech, and 23-7 on Morange. So Sergeant Tucker did a lot of work to help save the International Men of Mystery here. But like, when both medics die out, it shows a level of competency of both teams where like you can't sleep on Auckland. And finally, Auckland versus Brisboom, right? I'm gonna resist the temptation to view Brisboom as invincible. They're not. Like, in the same way that technically, I don't know, technically I could win the lottery today, or, you know, technically I could climb Mount Everest. Technically, I'm not going to do it, and it's really hard, right? I think that they're only 6 men, and they can be beaten. And so I really love to see it when these teams are putting out their best effort to try to beat Brisboom. And I think more than anything, I respect Auckland for putting out their best lineup and giving it their shot. They are acting like they're a 3rd place contending team by believing that if we practice and keep doing our lineup, we can make it there. Not a great game, you know? Not a great game against this team. Know-It-All does come away with a 1-hit diff. That's something. But on the whole, like, it was a classic Brisbane stomping. But what I will highlight, they got Taipan down to 4 lives. Now, I know sometimes Taipan's out on the field just, like, shooting up a bunch of people, but, sorry, zapping a bunch of people. That might have been inappropriate. But I think the only other team that's done that so far has been Men of Mystery in their first game. Yeah, this is proof that, like, look, if you can't beat Brisboom, how far down can you get their medic? Or how even can you make the score minus the elim bonus? I encourage teams to try. Like, give them your best. And if they're just going to overwhelm you, then just try surviving the whole game. See if anyone can do it, because it hasn't happened so far. Everyone's been elimed, and I respect Auckland for this effort. It was really good showing, especially by Morange. Okay. My favorite storyline. The mercenary players are doing well. Coming into this tournament, we had, it was a strange offseason, in my opinion, in terms of building rosters. And I'm going to have some things to say on some other podcast about how do we structure teams when we have just like players popping up from all over the place, because it was kind of a mess, in my opinion. But anyway, we have 3 players who have, a couple of them have traditionally filled in last minute on teams, and one we had a last minute addition anyway. So we kind of have 3 like plug-in players that I want to highlight. So Tomik, who had never played SM5 in our competitive scene before this tournament, is actually doing, I think, quite well, considering someone who is pretty new to the scene. He's not new to the game. 8,000 something missions. This guy is crazy good and crazy at laser tag, crazy about laser tag. But I'd say, you know, we look at the standings, and it's not that like any of these 3 players are carrying, by the way. They're not like the reason, but they are a reason that their team is doing well. I mean, to come in and put up respectable scout scores on the All-American Supercharged team, I think, is a really big deal. He's not been like a weak link. He's not putting up like the 3K scout games. Very impressed with El Diablo, playing for the International Men of Mystery. He's come in and played the scout role really well, I think. Considering where he's been before this tournament. You know, he has often been plugged into teams that are slated at the bottom and put into a position where he's not going to be able to succeed. Well, I can't think of a better team structure than this one, where, you know, all 5 of these other players want to enable El Diablo to do well. And what I really love is that when I'm watching the games, El Diablo is very sneaky. He gets I think he's probably got a higher ratio of medic hits than most scouts. And at the same time, I hear him calling out very vocally where players are. So I know they're still kind of working him in, but I really love to see this kind of El Diablo finally getting a chance to play on a really structured team and play a role. I think if he continues to improve like this, we're going to see some even higher scores out of him. And really, any victory for the Men of Mystery is a victory for the German Laserforce scene where Marcus is from. He's representing that whole country right now by himself. And I would love to see him take home some trophies. So let's go Men of Mystery. And finally, Redneck Tech I want to highlight. Redneck Tech he's very unique. He's played in all these Laserforce Internationals, and he doesn't have a home site. He's a QZAR player. But he's playing better than I've ever seen him play for the Loveland Curveballs. In fact, let me go down to top players. Let's look at the scout stats. In fact, all three of these guys are playing scout. Funny enough, we can highlight them a little more. Let's find them. Let's go on an adventure, a stat adventure together. So Tomik is averaging 5K on scout, which is really good. And you remember, you compare all this to like what you're expecting from these players. Yeah, that's really good. Average 3 hits, 26 per game. That might be like 13 and 13 and a 1.12 hit differential. I really like that. Let's see. Yeah, El Diablo with nearly 2 medic hits per game on average, and I think there may be some outliers that skew that number. And a 1.2 hit differential. I really like that. And let's go find Redneck. And remember, Redneck's doing this on a 20% win ratio. He's got almost 5K on average. And I'm looking for this hit diff. Yep, 1.09 hit diff, which is really nice to see. He's finding ways to just kind of be floating about and not letting other teams farm him. So very impressed with Redneck Tech. I'm loving to see that. Okay, games to watch today. The game to watch today, I'm giving you 2. I couldn't choose between these 2, and I thought they were both so vital. So I'd love to highlight the BDRL versus the International Men of Mystery, number 2 Electric Boogaloo, the sequel. In the first game, the BDRL beat the Men of Mystery both games. It was a pretty strong victory from them. But why I'm not instantly crowning BDRL, the second place team of the tournament, remember, like, I expect all the away teams to grow significantly more than the home teams over the course of 5 days. This is going to set the tone, right? If the International Men of Mystery can't beat them here, then it's possible that they'll only have their shot in finals to pull that upset. And if they can beat the BDRL here, I think it will create a whole new narrative for the entire scene. Like, okay, BDRL aren't that dominant too. And it's a chance for the BDRL to prove, as they have messaged me in the Discord and said, they're going to show me. They deserve to be in that number 2 spot. All right, show me. These are some of the best players in the world. And if I'm honest, I think their vast amount of experience in other sites over you is a huge reason why I'm putting them above you. I think that they understand the game on a far deeper level in more contexts. So I need to see you beat them not just by running out and smashing into them quickly. I need to see like a lot of coordinated counterplay and a deep understanding of SM5. And look, getting to play at home with Rusty and Taipan all the time, maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough, truly. In which case, I'm going to feel, to be honest, a little salty for all the traveling I've had to do to get where I'm at if BDRL can come in and just take second in this tournament. That's a little of my bias right there. It's resentment. I'm jealous of you, BDRL. I'm jealous of how good you are and how coordinated you're coming in as a bunch of rookies, essentially. So let's see if BDRL can hold up and show that they're not just some kind of lucky B team. Let's see that they are amazing and can consistently beat the best in their home arena. And All-American Supercharged versus Auckland. I'm finding that these two teams, Auckland Rising and All-American Supercharged, are having some struggles. Now, I heard there was some kind of an injury to Beans. I wish him well. I don't know if it's something that will keep him out all tournament or if he's coming back tomorrow and he'll be just fine. I have no idea. There's no, I don't have news reports on the ground, but I do think that this is going to, I think there's potentially a tier break between these two teams, and Auckland has a chance to basically show, nope, we're right up there with you guys. How much can they continue growing by the end of day 3? And will All-American Supercharged get it together and show, nope, we're a tier above. We're not going to let this win happen. And my closer than expected prediction. Oh, I can't help it. I'm going to go with the International Men of Mystery versus Brisboom. With their understanding of the game, I don't know. It was just weird that Brisboom put Rusty and Taipan on 3-hit against this team specifically. And Men of Mystery got Sharpshooter Medic down to 4 lives in one of their games. So I do not... I called in the rankings show that I thought Brisboom was going to drop a game to a team here. I'm very iffy about that, to be honest. If I'm honest, I think if they're going to drop a game, it's probably more likely to be in the eliminations at this point. I don't think any of the away teams have gotten to know the arena well enough to take a game off of Brisboom at this point. It's possible they'll go undefeated. But I am going to bet that these games will be, at least one of them will be a lot closer than people think, and maybe the upset will happen. If I were going to call any upset game for the whole tournament on Brisboom, I'm calling it right here. But it's shooting for the stars. So let's see what Brisboom has got. Yesterday, the game to watch was Loveland versus Auckland, and 55% of you voted for Loveland, 45 for Auckland. Auckland put the 55 of us to rest. They said, nope, not today. Yesterday, the closer than expected game was the LFC versus All-American Supercharged, which one of the games was 33 to 36K, and then 39 to 32. So definitely American coming out a little harder in the second game, but it was close-ish in that first one. Okay. Finally, re-rankings. To end this show, my re-rankings, I am moving the BDRL up into 3rd place over All-American. I think that if this injury is significant, that's going to be a really big blow to the All-American team. I do think Beans is a really good player, and he's been one of the most needed offensive forces on the team. And the BDRL are proving through 2 days that they're not just getting by on only home field advantage, but I'm still going to bet that in finals, International Men of Mystery will beat them out. And I'm moving Auckland back up, going more with my original thinking. I do think the Loveland Curveballs, they're restructuring some things right now. I think they're going to begin solidifying, and by the time finals comes around, I still think it's close. I still think they're going to be above Laserforce Crew and very close to Auckland Day, but Auckland Day has pretty much proven yesterday, one, they are too experienced and talented to just be like grouped down there, and 2, they're growing as well. They're also an away team. So if I'm counting the Loveland Curveballs to grow, I got to remember that like Auckland's not going to stop growing as of yesterday. They're going to keep getting better and better. It feels rough. I considered putting Curveballs at 7, to be honest. The Laserforce Crew is showing that they are a very stout team, but I'm still not finding that they have that explosiveness that can have, like, any of their players can really carry a game. So far, like, if anything, I'm really impressed with, I like Jeff Pex. I think that she's great on the scout position, getting a lot of really good angles, good hit diffs. I think Lucy Doon is showing a lot of impressive defensive play. And they are all good players in their right. And even if they're better than the Curveballs today, I think the Curveballs are going to get it together and win 6th place or higher by finals. And Olympus, I'm sorry, Gaza had some really good showings yesterday. It seems like Dart is beginning to show up. They're kind of figuring things out in that team. And I hear the vibes are great for these guys. Everyone's cheering for them. I'm still worried that no one's like low enough here for them to really come in and get the upset. So this is my finals prediction. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing the screen here. And I very much wish you all a wonderful day. Good luck in the tournament. Outro. Yeah.